Yo! It's a good job, Surprise Man. Today we're back with another video. This is going to be us talking about tonight's Raw, guys. This is, what date is this? Who am I kidding? May 1st, 2023. A month and 11 days away from my birthday. For those who don't know, it's June 12th. Turned 18, man. That's going to be cool. Ready to get up out of high school. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about how tonight's Raw dragged. Tonight's Raw absolutely dragged. We got to see, here's what we are arguing. Again, this is not going to be like a full review because that would be like a long video and there's people who do that already. I'm just going to tell you what happened, bro. And just key details. Obviously not the whole show. Obviously the show was the draft. Everybody knows that. What's been going on since last Friday and ended this Monday. Everyone else will be drafted are either free agents or after actually right now as we speak are being drafted because they said after tonight's Raw the rest of the people are going to be drafted. But tonight's Raw dragged, guys. It felt like the longest show I've ever watched. And when it's a good show, it doesn't feel long at all. Let me tell you, a few things happened, bro, that was just, I'll tell you this. I'll start off with a positive. The only good thing that happened from Raw, guys, if I'm honest and I'm truthful, as I always am to you guys, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The only good part of this show, I can't even say it was Cody brawling with Brock because that lasted like 2 seconds. So once again, Brock comes to Raw and just shows up. Not actually do anything that would help a feud or that would get you interested in them fighting. Oh yeah, by the way, go home show to Cody versus Brock. And we went the whole build-up, which had to have been like 4 weeks or something like that. Whole build-up. Still no explanation as to why these guys are fighting. Over a month of build they had to do with this. And we still have no idea why these two guys are having a match. Still no clue. And they're actually going, because the fact that they didn't add anything else to it, they're actually going with the BS excuse of, well, what was it? See, that goes to how important it was. I don't even remember what the reason they went with is. Oh, yeah, it was like, dang, what was it? It was like Brock. Oh, yeah, it was like Brock didn't like his placement on WrestleMania. He didn't like that he had to go first. Perfect. You know what? That's perfect. You know what that is? That's perfect. It's perfect. It is a perfect example of not a perfect example as to why they should have a match. It's a perfect example of tell me you don't know why Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes are having a match without actually saying the words, there's no reason for Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes to have a match. You literally telling me that without actually saying those exact words. That's what just happened. Tell me you don't know why Brock and Cody are feuding or having a match without actually saying Brock and Cody Rhodes are, you don't know why Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes are feuding and having a match. You basically told me that without actually saying those exact words. And the fact that, no, they actually stuck with it because tonight they didn't give any other reason. They just fought again. Well, Cody hit a shot on his face. Brock got a little blood, and that was it. So, and then the security held him back. Could be some potential WWE superstars. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you know how you guys always know some of the WWE superstars were security guards, man, and then they end up becoming something. So, hey, look up in that security guard, man. You never know who's going to be the next WWE superstar, man. You never know. But anyway, tonight, just give you an example. All right, the good thing was Dom getting ultimate heel heat that I don't even know if Roman gets. Because, granted, we haven't seen him in like a month. So, we don't actually know how loud the boos are going to be for Roman Reigns when he decides, isn't that crazy? When he decides to come back to SmackDown. So, yeah. All right, that was the good, right? All right, I gave you some good. The heel heat. Let me tell you the bad. The bad was a lot. I'm just not a full review, just going over what I remember. We have Liv Morgan on the mat, flat on her back, legs where her head is. And I know that sounds like a good visual, but in this situation, it was not. Because then you had BBB, that stands for Big Booty Bailey, on top of her. Her legs are at her head. Again, flat on her back. I know that sounds like a good but it wasn't in this situation. It was not. It was live on television. Liv is one of your WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, and she just got pinned by Bailey, who is a part of a faction with talented individuals. Bailey's obviously talented, but talented individuals like Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Clearly, we know that they're talented. But they've been, ever since their inception, ever since Damage Control has been a thing, have been booked awfully, terribly, and somehow they've just beat the tag team champions. Look, even if they're transitional champions, right? Like, oh, they're just there for Ronda and Shayna anyway. Even if that's considered they actually were both drafted to Raw tonight. Even if that's the case, which most likely it is, that doesn't mean have your champions look like nothing leading up to them losing it to Ronda and Shayna. Because guess what? If they didn't care what Liv and Raquel having the championship, what makes you think anyone's going to care if Shayna and Ronda have it? If you don't pass off the championship as a successful champion, then there's no hope for the next one. Or you're going to have, or unless you pull a Roman Reigns and have a ultra dominant, interesting title reign, unless you do that, because that's what Roman did when he took it away from the Fiend at Payback. That's how long ago that was. That was since Roman won the title. But even then, now that's, speaking of dragging, now Roman Reigns' title reign is dragging. I know 1,000 podcasters probably told you by now that, like, that was the wrong decision. And it's crazy. Actually, I'll go into that at the end because I can actually go into that for a little minute. But another bad thing that happened, or just repetitive thing, that was Raw, boring and repetitive, which is how it was a year ago or 2 years ago, or whatever, when, in 2019, 2020, that's how Vince books the shows nowadays. Not before. He used to actually have interest in making his show fun, but now that's gone, and now we get the same repetitive, boring shows in the last 10 years. But we got LWO versus Judgment Day in another shape or form. Again. Oh, yeah. And let me not forget. The Bloodline versus KO, Sammy, and Riddle in some variation before they actually have all three of them compete with the Usos and Solo, and then KO, Sammy, and Riddle. They did Matt Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. So we're doing we've already done Solo and Kevin, Solo and Sammy, Solo and Riddle twice. I meant to say Solo and KO twice, Solo and Sammy. What else have we done? Probably I've done Riddle and Jay. I probably just forgot. Probably have done Riddle and Jay. Definitely I've done Kevin and Jay many times. Sammy and Jay has definitely happened. Sammy and Jimmy I wouldn't doubt happen. So they're literally just doing variations of, they're literally doing a variation of matches between the 6 people involved in the match that are going to go 3v3 this weekend at Backlash. So they're just doing a variation. They're doing the same with LWO and Judgment Day, even though they're actually not having, the only people involved in that's having a match is Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega, which Zelina Vega, great on the mic, nice in-ring work. But the problem is, again, not building her up makes it not make sense from a believability standpoint, even though she's shorter, right? But from a believability standpoint, there's nothing to get behind in Zelina Vega because even though, yes, technically it makes sense because they're LWO, Judgment Day, she's involved in LWO, it's right there. Yes, but the thing is, when you talk about one of them going for a championship, makes no sense. Because if you have built Zelina Vega prior to all this, then we're going, okay, now we can see why that would be a match. But you can't just take someone who's in a group that's been booked awfully or just not booked at all And then, oh, you get a title match just because we're feuding with someone who has a championship. And in their group, one of them has a championship. You're a girl, she's a girl. Let's fight. Like, at a pay-per-view of all things. And it's just, what are we doing? We're just missing just common sense and logic. It's in the shows. We're just missing that. I'm trying to think if there's any other bad thing I need to say. Oh, yeah, the draft was just... The thing is, the draft was just uneventful. Obviously, the NXT call-ups were cool because, you know, people like me still keep up with NXT. Even if we don't watch it every single week, still keep up with what's going on. Whether it's the whole show or the highlights, we still keep up with what's going on. People like me. So that was cool, right? Finally seeing my boy Cameron Grimes getting drafted because he was supposed to have been show up on television, but it just took forever. And he even got more jacked over the time. So he wasn't sitting there eating Cheetos, man. That boy was getting jacked. And Cameron Grimes, hopefully like my boy L.A. Knight. Yeah, my favorite currently. Hopefully both of those boys get pushed to the moon. And funny that I mentioned those two, because if you remember, they had a great feud in NXT with the $1 Million Championship. That was entertaining television, man, seeing those two guys feud. So hopefully both of those guys get pushed to the moon and that the crowd can get behind Cameron Grimes too. Because you already see it with LA Knight, but hopefully my boy Cameron Grimes, they get behind him as well. So cool to see some of the NXT talents get called up. Yep, Kason Carter and Katana Chance, formerly known as Kason Catanzaro. She got put up there. And they're a good tag team, so I hope that after Alba Fire and it was Isla Dawn from they got drafted on SmackDown to SmackDown and on SmackDown. So hopefully we can actually bring some women's tag teams. So that would be cool. That would be cool to see if they actually used actual tag teams that they've made in NXT, funny enough, to build the one they don't have on the main roster. So hopefully they actually use them to the best of their ability, and they actually use that as okay, now we can form a division here, or at least start some feuds, so that we can at least be fooled into thinking they have a division. We can't even be fooled into thinking they have a division. But anyway, I think that was all the bad things I had to say. Oh, yeah. Then we got Mr. Seth. Gosh, man, that chant goes on for a while. He went against Solo. So look, it sounds cool. Solo's getting all these main events, racking up a good bit of wins. But guess what? The show ends the exact same way. Usos get involved. Disqualification. KO, Sammy, and Riddle come out there and they all start fighting. We have seen these three teams brawl to the point where there's no point in seeing them in a match. We don't need to see them go 3 against 3 in a match at a pay-per-view. They've already brawled like 5 or 6 different times. Do we need to see a match now? Because the only difference is a match is just going to be, okay, it's going to now their brawling is going to last longer and they're going to be in a corner this time. That's it. That's the only difference. Okay. I'll just make sure I cleared what I at least remember. Anyway, I think those are the highlights. So you missed nothing. If you missed Raw, you missed nothing. And unfortunately, because we want the best for WWE, because why would we still watch it if we didn't want the best for it? You don't watch something you don't want to see grow. That's my thing. WWE, AEW, I always say this. When you watch these shows, and you're criticizing them with actual intelligence, you're not just bashing it, that shows that you want to see the show progress. It doesn't show that you're a hater. It doesn't show that you don't like everything. It's saying, dude, we got to do better with these shows because they both have a roster filled with talent, and they're all, trust me, all of those people on that roster who are being on television or in that roster, they're ready to go. They're ready to be given a great storyline that they can perform on. But that's not what they're given. That's not what they're told to do. So we get what we get on television, which is a lot of people who could be stars or are stars, but not being booked in anything worth watching. That's what the problem is. But anyway, excuse me. Last thing I want to get into to end it off. And by the way, I've started, I'm back in the gym now. Did chest and triceps. We eating good. So we hopefully will keep that thing up, you know what I'm saying? You will see a crazy body transformation. That could be a whole nother video. I just had to inform you guys on a little something like that. But the last thing I will say, I'll probably make a separate video about the World Heavyweight Championship. I know that's been talked about like, what, 2 weeks ago that's been introduced, but who cares? We still gonna talk about it. But anyway, so now we have, what was I gonna say? Let me see. Let me think. Wow, I can go with this. Oh yeah. So the whole debate between, okay, Cody, he didn't need to win at Mania because there was not enough adversity. Oh, Cody should have won because we need a new championship, a new vision, something new, freshen up everything now. It's all over, right? Bloodline ends at Mania. They tell a whole story of the Bloodline breaking up. Here's my thing about it. Yes! Factually, Cody should have won, and we start something completely new. Because here's the thing. Here's what they should have done. Not what they could have done. And I hear, oh, well, this would have been cool. No, here's what they should have done. Cody wins the titles. Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. He wins. I had looked around for a second, so I was like, wait, did I say that championship right? Anyway, he wins. Cody wins at Mania, big moment, because the crowd was all there for it. WrestleMania, Hollywood, right? Big crowd, big atmosphere. Everyone was ready for Cody to win. Big entrances and all. Match was great. Went over 30 minutes. Time right there for you to make a moment. And they didn't. And now we get what we get, and that's a no reason feud for Cody and Brock. If Cody would have won the title, there's your answer right there. Because if you guys remember, or they could have reminded you, and it would have all made sense. Just one title change, everything from here on out with Cody would have made sense. Boom, he feuds with Brock. Why? Because if you remember at SummerSlam, Cody or Brock and Roman had their last match, and the stipulation was Brock cannot go after Roman. I think it was like Brock can't go after Roman while Roman's the champion. So that means that they're probably going to have another match. But anyway, that was the stipulation. I think they did say that was going to be the last match between Brock and Roman. Who knows? It was a good match, but that's why I say I hope that's the last match, because I don't think they can do better than their SummerSlam one. But anyway, I mean, you had all the gimmicks, the ring rising to the air and everything. But anyway, the stipulation was he couldn't challenge Roman for the championship as long as Roman was champion. If he lost that match, and he did. So boom, Cody wins it. And what's the first thing that Brock does? Boom, goes after Cody. Because now Roman's not the champion, and he can go after the championships. Boom. A beast, a top star, wants a championship. Makes sense. Wants the world championship. Wouldn't make sense. So instead of Cody winning the championship, right? Unify the Universal and WWE title, even though they're unified, but they're still two separate belts or titles. Anyway, unify that. Give Cody maybe a modified Winged Eagle belt, whatever you want to do. And then you can unveil the new world title, because now you could have gone, okay, well, we've seen what happens when we get, we've seen what happens when we have, one champion, even though he was obviously part-time, but we've seen what happens with that, right? And we don't want you guys, having a champ, you feel like it's it's happening for so long, this and that is dragging. They obviously wouldn't say these words, but I'm saying they would have been like, I only wanted the WWE title. The WWE Championship. That's the one that Cody's father didn't win. So he could have easily cut a promo the next night, not only unveiling a new championship for himself, but unveiling the new World Heavyweight Championship. Because that way, you have a new champion and then a separate championship that's also a world championship. And now the world championship doesn't feel like a runner-up belt. The runner-up second place bronze, platinum, whatever level below gold you want to go. But it ain't gold. It ain't number one. Because that's what this championship feels like. It feels like, hey, here's the championship, because it's so many people who couldn't beat Roman Reigns that, and he's not here a lot, so we gotta have something. So here's the new pretty belt that everyone can win, which is a pretty belt, but it comes off like a runner-up championship, because since no one's beaten Roman Reigns, who's the actual world champion, now when they reveal a new one, it's, oh, this is the Workhorse Championship. This is going to be on Raw, and whoever wins it, that is going to represent, oh, no, it ain't going to be eligible for like part-timers and stuff like that, because this is the Workhorse Championship, right? Again, would have been fine if Cody had beat Roman, because then guess what? We get a new champion who's beating Roman Reigns, and then you say, hey, I only wanted to win the WWE title anyway, so here's the Universal title, and then they can turn that into the world title if they want to. And you're right. Now they unveiled the new belt. Okay, boom. We got a new champ and a new belt. So they're both starting fresh. So now nothing feels like, oh, he's the top champion. No, it would feel more equal because now you have a new champion, a belt that hasn't been won, and a belt that a new title holder who beat Roman Reigns theoretically has just won. So now no championship feels higher than the other right now. Or it wouldn't, or yeah, well, you could think of it, well, he beat Roman, so that's why he would be the top champ. But it would be much easier to build the other championship because now you know it's not like you're going to have a world champion who's impossible to beat, which they've made Roman Reigns into. So if they had done it like that, unify Cody's title, give the other brand a world title because he don't want to hold both titles. You know, as a babyface, you cut a promo. He believes that the world championship deserves, the brands deserve their own world champion, and I will be the champion of Raw, and then someone can be the champion of SmackDown because I only wanted the WWE title anyway. So I don't feel it's fair to keep it all hostage. I think there should be somebody running each show, or somebody running SmackDown, somebody running Raw. Boom. That makes more sense if you want to have two world champions, which I'm fine with because if they actually stayed on their brand, that would make sense, right? You would have two world champions, one for each brand, right? They both get to run their own show, and you don't have to go, oh, that's the A champion, that's the B champion, because if both shows are good and both champions are booked correctly, you can just have dominant champions for each of their brands, and then you never have the world champions interacting with each other because you don't want the whole vision, oh, he's the A champion, he's the B champion. No, you just want each champ to run their own brand, which WWE is the only place I feel is big enough to have something like that where there's a champion for each brand, a world champ for each brand. But anyway, the reason why, I think this is the last thing I'm going to say, the reason why Roman should not have won at WrestleMania is because now they've proven over the weeks after Mania, there's nothing left for him as champ. This is what I said about Bianca. Love Bianca. But this is what I said about Bianca. Nothing left for her as champ in terms of interesting, believable feuds that you want to see her in. There's nothing left. You could have done a whole new character development and building up the heel kind of Asuka. That would have been something completely new and something that's fresh and you can do something with. But when Bianca retains at Mania, who's left that anyone's actually going to believe has a chance against Bianca? You had that. Kind of was that last chance, and now Io, obviously great in-ring performer, but she hadn't been booked like the best thing ever. So it's not like this feels like a legit challenger. So she shouldn't have won at Mania. But shout out to Bianca because I just realized I think she's like 3-0 now at Mania. So that's the only, to me, that was the only thing that came from that was in Bianca's favor. That now you can actually say that Bianca's undefeated at Mania. That's the only thing that I thought that was actually kind of cool statistic. That's the only thing that came from that. Other than that, there was no reason to have her win that. But anyway, shout out to Connor. Actually, she got drafted to SmackDown last night. I'm just remembering things now. But anyway, Roman should not have won because they've proven they have nothing left to this story. At least with Roman still as the or any of the bloodlines still as the champions. They've proven there's no more story there. And why would it, and it's crazy that they didn't all lose their titles because that's the whole story. At the biggest stage of them all, everyone in the bloodline fell down a step. And now we start telling the story of them breaking up, right? Roman Reigns with this world championship, essentially he has this trance on his cousins and they have to follow everything he says and he strikes that fear into them. But if he were to lose his world championship, it's like, oh, now we can slowly see everyone starting to leave Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns is starting to be direct and aggressive like he always is with his cousins in terms of getting them to do a job. He's aggressive and will get mad at them and they don't do it right like a dad. But then when he has that championship, that was fine. But when he doesn't, you can go, oh, now they're starting to be more defiant for Roman Reigns because they don't got that championship no more. So there is no tribal chief and all that. I'm the top person in WWE because you don't have the top prize. So you can start telling that story out. Everybody starts kind of going their own way because he don't have that world championship anymore. He realizes now that that was what he had to keep his cousins in line and to get them to do whatever Roman wanted them to do. Easy story right there. And then, like I said, Cody and Brock can have that would be a fun feud, right? Brock's an obviously believable, dominant guy in real life. And then you have him feuding against the top babyface. That's great. And then Brock Lesnar, big name. Cody Rhodes, biggest name right now. Have them feud. Sounds great if Cody's the champ. But it's factual. And then the last thing I'll say actually is, this is the last thing I want to address. All the people who said Cody still, and still to this day, still at this moment, that say, oh, Cody needed adversity. No, he didn't. His whole story was based off adversity. 6 years away from WWE. Collectively, 16 years it took him to finally be recognized as a top guy in WWE. So the fact that it is really people out there that still think he needs adversity, you're actually messed up in the head. So you're saying that because Cody didn't struggle in the months leading up to the Mania, so somehow 2.5 months of struggle, which that would have been right from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, it's like 2.5 months. 2.5 months of struggle would trump 16 years of Cody to get to this point. That's what you're saying. I hope people realize that out when they say it out loud. You're essentially saying because he didn't get 2.5 months of struggle before Mania, that struggle would have been better than 16 years of struggle he had to get to this point. Just saying. Or 17 years by that point, because 2023. Yeah, 17 years. Anyway. And now they're saying, oh, well, now even though Cody's on Raw and he has to finish the story because he clearly has to beat Roman. There's no one else that they built as a big baby face. Oh, well, he's going to win the Money in the Bank and cash in gracefully or as a baby face would. He's going to tell him that he's going to cash in at SummerSlam. And they have a one-on-one match. And he cashes in the briefcase to get his match. No. That's stupid. You know why it's stupid? Because you're literally doing everything second rate. Last thing I'm going to say. He won the 2023 Royal Rumble. And he didn't win at WrestleMania. Now, mind you, Hollywood WrestleMania. Big crowd, big atmosphere. Hollywood WrestleMania. Everyone's invested. Atmosphere is hot. Your biggest pay-per-view of the year and the biggest, and you won the Royal Rumble. Legendary pay-per-view. Everybody knows the Royal Rumble. And you win the Royal Rumble to punch your ticket to the main event of WrestleMania. And now you want to do it second rate. Now, instead of winning the Royal Rumble, you want him to get the Money in the Bank. That's second rate to winning the Royal Rumble. And then you want to have him win the title at SummerSlam, which is the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. So you, instead of the first biggest, which is WrestleMania, it goes, by the way, if you didn't know, the biggest one is WrestleMania, then SummerSlam, then Royal Rumble's the third, and then Survivor Series the fourth. So you want him to literally win second rate because he would be winning at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. So you want him to win Money in the Bank, second rate to winning the Royal Rumble, and you want him to win Money in the Bank as opposed to winning and winning at SummerSlam as opposed to winning the Royal Rumble and winning in the main event of WrestleMania. You want him to do it second rate, all because he didn't have enough adversity. Well, all I gotta say is I hope your adversity is worth it, because now you're gonna have a crowd that cares less about him winning it. And it won't feel the same. It'll always feel like a big moment seeing Roman lose the title. But at WrestleMania was like, that's the only place it felt like the perfect time. This would feel like Damage Control. Because that's why they even made the World Championship. Because they knew that they should have had Roman lose. So they had to make a whole nother championship that is not going to feel important. Because again, it's all because no one can beat Roman. That's why this championship feels so second rate, because it's only made because Roman is just impossible to stop. So we'll give you this consolation prize. See? But it looks pretty. It looks nice. Anyway, almost 30 minutes, guys. If you stuck around this long, you a G. Love and appreciate you guys. During this recording, I'm seeing notifications of people comment on my most recent short. Love and appreciate you guys. Let's keep rocking it out. Road to 70 subscribers. We're at 69 subs. Please don't let it stay at that number of all numbers. If you know, you know. Love and appreciate you guys, The Prodigy. And I'm out. Peace.